Did you know that Aaron Carter passed away with no will? Now it looks like the state of California will decide who inherits his estate. Despite not having a will in place, Aaron's 1-year-old son Prince could still inherit his father's estate, as California law states that a child is first in line to inherit a parent's estate if the parent passes away without a will. The singer was reportedly advised by his attorney to make a will, especially because he had a child who depended on him. Although Aaron was not in the best place financially when he passed away, his house was on the market, so his family may still get some kind of security when it's sold. Aside from that news, we also know that a book publisher has delayed the release of his posthumous memoir after pushback from the singer's publicist and his ex-girlfriend Hilary Duff. The actress accused the publisher of recklessly publishing a book out to capitalize on this tragedy without taking appropriate time or care to fact-check the validity of his work. She said to water down Aaron's life story to what seems to be unverified clickbait for profit is disgusting. In no way do I condone shedding any light on what is so obviously an uninformed, heartless money grab. If you didn't know, Hilary Duff and Aaron Carter dated when they were both child stars in the early 2000s. In fact, part of the tell-all memoir that has come out focuses on their relationship as young teenagers. And what was most controversial of all is the book even delves into Aaron and Hilary's sexual experiences together. Another explosive part of the memoir claimed that the singer spent a night at Michael Jackson's home when he was a boy. So it's no surprise that publishing something like that now would be incredibly disrespectful or even just bad taste. Even Aaron's publicist told Page Six that he would not have wanted the memoir to be published and claimed that it was unauthorized by the singer before his passing. He released a statement saying, Aaron, in the midst of working on the book, said, "I want nothing to do with this," and stopped. So the fact that the publisher is saying it's greenlit, it's not. That's against Aaron's wishes. But despite the backlash, the author Andy Simmons maintained his opinion that Aaron had hired him to help tell the world his story. He told Page Six that story, while tragically cut short, was filled with good and bad. His life was far from pretty, and understandably, certain people in the public eye don't want some of the stories Aaron tells in his books to come to light. That doesn't make them any less true or newsworthy. In addition to being cathartic for him, Aaron hoped his book would help others struggling with addiction and mental illness. I hope and believe it will do that. Even an attorney representing the publisher has come forward defending his client's right to publish the book. He said, Aaron Carter wanted his story to be told, and he wanted our client Andy Simmons, a well-respected journalist and author, to tell that story with all its beauty and rawness. Public attention has recently focused on a small number of interactions during Mr. Carter's early years. The more important story is about Mr. Carter's life as a whole, and what people can learn from his professional success, his personal struggles, and his tragic passing. He went on to say, Mr. Carter was not just a celebrity, but he was also a father, a brother, a son, and a friend to many who were still grieving for him. But that clearly wasn't enough to stop the controversy surrounding the release of the memoir. And since that last statement, the attorney has announced that his client will indefinitely postpone the book out of respect for Carter's family. It's supposedly being titled Aaron Carter, An Incomplete Story of an Incomplete Life, and was originally scheduled to be released on the 15th of November, which is just 10 days after he was found dead at his home at the age of 34. So obviously that would have been way too soon to release something like this, given the tragic circumstances surrounding the singer's passing and the explosive contents of the book. Although the unfinished memoir was written over the course of 3 years, which some could argue shows you that Aaron himself had wanted it to come out, you might be able to make the case that he really did want to put his story out into the world, something that his fans would no doubt be interested in. But at the same time, the fact that they tried to release it less than 2 weeks after his passing really does make it all seem like a heartless money grab.
And at number 10, Virgil Abloh. Legendary fashion designer Virgil Abloh passed away on November 28th of 2021 after fighting a long battle with cancer. His death came as a shock to fans, as Virgil had kept his cancer diagnosis completely secret until his death. At the time of his death, Virgil was a menswear designer for Louis Vuitton, as well as the founder and CEO of streetwear brand Off-White. He was 41 years old at the time, and his death was announced on his Instagram page. The long statement read in part, quote, "For over 2 years, Virgil vigilantly battled a rare aggressive form of cancer, cardiac angiosarcoma. He chose to endure his battle privately since his diagnosis in 2019, undergoing numerous challenging treatments, all while helming several significant institutions that span fashion, art, and culture. Virgil was not only a fashion designer who made history as Louis Vuitton's first black artistic director, but he was also a DJ and a longtime friend and collaborator of Kanye West. Plenty of celebrities posted tributes to Virgil on their social media pages after the announcement, including Hailey Bieber and Kim Kardashian. And at number 9, Willie Garson. With the Sex and the City revival and Just Like That recently premiering, fans are reminded that the legendary actor who plays Stanford passed away shortly after filming Wrapped. Garson passed away on September 21st of 2021 at the age of 57. His family revealed that his cause of death was pancreatic cancer, and they asked fans to donate in his name to the Alliance for Children's Rights instead of sending flowers or other gifts. Along with being an actor, Garson was also a father and often spoke about how much he loved being a father to his special son, Nathan, who he adopted in 2009. When speaking to Page 6 about his son, Garson said, quote, "He's an adult and soon he'll be taking care of me, which is really why I got him, to be honest." And at number 8, Norm Macdonald. The comedian, best known for his role on Saturday Night Live, died after privately battling cancer for 9 years. He was 61 at the time of his death. He passed away on September 14th of 2021. Following his death, his friend Lori Jo Hoekstra wrote a statement saying, quote, "He never wanted the diagnosis to affect the way his audience or any of his loved ones saw him. Norm was a pure comic. He once wrote that a joke should catch someone by surprise, it should never pander. He certainly never pandered," adding that Norm will be missed terribly by family and friends, as well as his fans. Norm was Canadian, born in Quebec City. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau tweeted following Norm's passing, quote, "The world was a much funnier place because Norm Macdonald was in it. We've lost a comedic genius and a great Canadian, sending my condolences to his loved ones and countless fans mourning his passing." And at number 7, Gregg Leakes. Any fans of The Real Housewives of Atlanta know how devastating the death of Nene Leakes' husband, Gregg Leakes, was. He passed away at the age of 66 on September 1st of 2021 of cancer. A rep for the couple said in a statement that Gregg passed away, quote, "in his home surrounded by all of his children, very close loved ones, and wife. He was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2018, but was put in remission after undergoing 6 months of chemo. But sadly in June of 2021, the family announced that his cancer had returned. The news was devastating to fans of the show because Gregg and Nene had always had such a strong relationship and lasted even through huge fights that Nene got into with other castmates. He was truly always by her side." And at number 6, Charlie Watts. The drummer for the legendary band The Rolling Stones passed away in a London hospital. His cause of death is unknown at this time. He was 80 years old at the time of his death on August 24th of 2021. Earlier this year, Watts pulled out of a tour that the band was going to be doing around the US. He had to undergo a surgery. He gave little detail about the surgery but said it went completely successfully. A statement said, quote, "Charlie was a cherished husband, father, and grandfather," adding he was one of the greatest drummers of his generation. Apparently following Watts' death, his other band members are starting to worry about their own fates. The National Enquirer reported that Mick Jagger has been fearing for his life following the tragedy because he thinks he could be next. A source revealed that Jagger is, quote, "feeling his mortality after the drummer's sudden death, and he's been wondering if his own is around the corner." Halfway number 5, Robert Downey Sr. The father of A-list actor Robert Downey Jr. passed away on July 7th of 2021 in his sleep at the age of 85. He'd been battling Parkinson's for more than 5 years before that. Following his death, Downey Jr. wrote a touching tribute on Instagram, saying, quote, "Last night Dad passed peacefully in his sleep after years of enduring the ravages of Parkinson's. He was a true maverick filmmaker and remained remarkably optimistic throughout. According to my stepmom's calculations, they were happily married for just over 2,000 years. Rosemary Rogers Downey, you are a saint, and our thoughts and prayers are with you." And at number 4, Kevin Clark. Kevin Clark, who acted in the hit movie Sound of Rock, sadly passed away at the age of 32 after being hit by a car. He passed away on May 26th of 2021. He was riding his bike when a car came up and hit him. He played the role of Freddie Spazzy McGee Jones in the 2003 film School of Rock. He was biking in Chicago's Avondale neighborhood in the very early morning. After he was struck, he was rushed to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 2:04 a.m. Clark was known as the drummer in the hit movie and started playing drums when he was only 3 years old. School of Rock was a massive commercial success, grossing $131 million globally, which made it the most successful comedy musical of all time until Pitch Perfect 2 overtook it in 2015. And at number 3, DMX. Legendary rapper DMX passed away on April 9th of 2021 at the age of 50. His real name was Earl Simmons, and sadly the rapper passed away from an OD that left him in a, quote, vegetative state. His family said in a statement to Page 6, quote, "Earl was a warrior who fought till the very end. He loved his family with all of his heart, and we cherish the times that we spent with him. Earl's music inspired countless fans across the world, and his iconic legacy will live on forever." Following an autopsy, it was revealed that his death was a lethal combination of illicit substances, alcohol, and COVID-19. On Saturday, April 24th, a funeral was held at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, a celebration of life that drew thousands of fans. And at number 2, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Britain's longtime prince, Prince Philip, passed away at the impressive age of 99 after serving for decades as a member of the royal family. He passed in his sleep, and it's been reported that he simply died of old age. The husband of Queen Elizabeth II passed away peacefully at Windsor Castle, Buckingham Palace, announced at the time. He and Queen Elizabeth were married for 73 years and was a father to the royal heirs. The Duke of Edinburgh retired from public duties in August of 2017. Following the news, the flag at Buckingham Palace was lowered to half-mast, and a notice was posted on the gates to mark the Duke's death. People placed floral tributes outside the palace, while hundreds visited Windsor Castle to pay their respects. And finally, number 1, Christopher Plummer. The legendary actor passed away on February 5th of 2021 at the age of 91. Initially, after news broke, fans assumed he had simply passed away of old age, but reports later confirmed he actually passed from a blow to the head that happened after he fell in their home. However, no further details were given by his wife. His longtime manager said in a statement, quote, "Chris was an extraordinary man who deeply loved and respected his profession with great old-fashioned manners, self-deprecating humor, and the music of words." At the time of his death, Plummer was preparing to appear as King Lear on film for the first time. The Oscar winner was best known for films like The Sound of Music, Beginners, All the Money in the World, and Knives Out.
First, Lisa Marie Presley, the daughter of Elvis and Priscilla Presley, has tragically died at the age of 54. Yesterday morning, she was rushed to the hospital for a possible cardiac arrest. When paramedics arrived, they began CPR, and when they noticed that Lisa Marie was showing signs of life, she was quickly taken to a local hospital for immediate medical care. Her death was confirmed by her mother just a few hours after her daughter was rushed to the LA hospital. She said, "It's with a heavy heart that I must share the devastating news that my beautiful daughter Lisa Marie has left us. She was the most passionate, strong, and loving woman I have ever known." Lisa Marie was born in Memphis, Tennessee on February the 1st in 1968, which is exactly 9 months after Elvis and Priscilla's wedding. Her birth was international news because she was the couple's first and only child. As she grew up, it became obvious that she shared a lot of her father's charisma and talent, and she ended up following in his footsteps by releasing her own rock albums in the 2000s. Her voice was also added to several of Elvis's songs like In the Ghetto and Don't Cry Daddy. Lisa Marie lived with her mother in California after her parents split up in 1973. She recalled early memories of her dad during her visits to Graceland, riding golf carts through the neighborhood and seeing his daily entrances down the stairs. She said, "He'd always wake me up to sing in the middle of the night, get on the table and sing. I remember him as my dad, but he was a very exciting dad." Elvis Presley died in August 1977 when he was 42 years old and Lisa Marie was only 9. She was staying at Graceland at the time and would recall him kissing her goodnight just hours before he would collapse on the floor and never recover. The next time she saw him was the following day, and she found him lying face down in the bathroom. She said, "I just had a feeling he wasn't doing well. All I know is I had that feeling and it happened." But sadly, Lisa Marie would later make headlines of her own, particularly for her struggles with addiction and some very public marriages. She was actually married 4 times, and her ex-husbands included Michael Jackson and Nicolas Cage. In October of 1988, Lisa Marie married Chicago-based musician Danny Keough, with whom she welcomed 2 children, a daughter Riley in 1989 and a son Benjamin in 1992. After 5.5 years of marriage, the couple divorced in May of 1994. Less than a month later, she married none other than Michael Jackson. The two of them actually met at one of her father's Vegas concerts when she was 7 years old, and Michael was still a member of the Jackson 5. They seemed to be very in love at the time of their marriage, but only 2 years later they ended their relationship. In 2000, Lisa Marie got engaged to a Hawaiian-born musician, although that relationship ended when she met Nicolas Cage at a birthday party that very same year. 2 years later, they got married during a secret ceremony in Hawaii on the 25th anniversary of Elvis's death. But less than 4 months after their wedding, the newlyweds announced that they were splitting up, and Lisa Marie admitted that they shouldn't have gotten married in the first place. Her 4th marriage came in 2006 to Michael Lockwood, and 2 years later they welcomed twin daughters Harper and Finley. The singer then filed for divorce in June of 2016, and ever since their separation, the former couple have been embroiled in an ongoing custody battle over their children. Apart from her music career, Lisa Marie was also a dedicated philanthropist, as she oversaw the Elvis Presley Charitable Foundation, which benefits homeless families and offers rent-free housing. She also worked with Oprah Winfrey's Angel Network to provide relief to those affected by Hurricane Katrina, and the Dream Factory to benefit children with life-threatening illnesses or disabilities. 1980s. News of her tragic passing is certainly overwhelming, but it's good to see that many of her friends and fellow celebrities have paid tribute in the best way possible.
And the final story today, we have Steven Twitch Boss passes away at 40. So yesterday we lost someone who inspired many people around the world, and it truly hurts to know that he will no longer be with us. At 9:49 a.m. Pacific time, Ellen DeGeneres would pay tribute to her friend Steven Twitch Boss. Ellen would go on to say, "I'm heartbroken. Twitch was pure love and light. He was family, and I loved him with all my heart. I miss him. Please send your love and support to Allison and his beautiful children." So if you don't know who Twitch is, he's a famed DJ who worked on Ellen's talk show. While the world has been mourning the passing of Twitch, TMZ would confirm that Twitch took his own life. After being notified by law enforcement sources, it would be said that Twitch's wife ran into the Los Angeles Police Department station on Tuesday, and she was extremely frantic because she said Steven had left home without his car, and that was something that he would never do. A few hours later, around 11:15 a.m., paramedics would get a call for a medical emergency at an LA hotel, and this is where they would find Steven. At the scene, it would be confirmed that Steven passed away after taking his own life at the age of 40. After his passing, Allison would tell TMZ that Steven lit up the room he stepped into. He valued family, friends, and community above all else, and leading with love and light was everything to him. He was the backbone to our family, the best husband and father, and an inspiration to his fans. To say he left a legacy would be an understatement, and his positive impact will continue to be felt. I'm certain there won't be a day that goes by that we won't honor his memory. Allison would then finish the statement by saying, "Steven, we love you, we miss you, and I will always save the last dance for you." Now, before Steven became a DJ and an executive producer on Ellen, he actually got his break in show business back in 2008 when he became the runner-up on the show So You Think You Can Dance. And he would then go on to some acting, and he even landed several roles where he showed us his dance moves. Now, Steven will always be remembered for the light and joy he brought into our lives and hearts, and his passing was definitely a huge tragic loss, as the world will no longer be radiant without his beautiful smile. So why we mourn the loss of Twitch, I think it's the perfect time to remind you all that if you or someone is struggling or in a crisis, know that help is available. Reach out to your friends and family and check in on them every now and then, because you never know what a person's going through. And because speaking about things is always better than keeping them bottled up.
The internet went way too far with Takeoff's passing. Let's take a look at what happened. Yesterday morning, Takeoff, the third member of the hip-hop trio Migos, was killed in an accident involving firearms. The 28-year-old rapper, whose real name was Kershnik Curry Ball, was targeted at a bowling alley in Houston while out with one of his bandmates. He and Quavo were playing dice around 2:30 a.m. at a private party in a bowling alley when he was suddenly attacked. According to Houston police, officers said there were 40 to 50 guests that had been at the party when someone opened fire. When they arrived, officers said that they found a large crowd and a man in his 20s with a wound to the head or neck, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. But of course, the internet has no respect at all, because right after the news of Takeoff's tragic death became public, shocking video footage from the scene of the crime has been circulating on Twitter. Although he has not been identified, the clip shows a man lying on the ground wearing very similar clothes to what Takeoff wore in the hours before his passing. Responding to the footage, many people have urged it to be taken down out of respect for his loved ones. One Twitter user wrote, "I don't know, but seeing a video floating around of Takeoff's lifeless body and a screaming Quavo isn't something any of us needed to see. Are we so desensitized that we have to record absolutely everything?" Another tweet said, "Whoever recorded that video while that man Takeoff is literally on his last breaths and Quavo is grieving in the background is the worst kind of person. Have some respect or at least decency not to post that crap until it's confirmed." It must have been a horrendous moment for Quavo, who was both Takeoff's uncle and longtime friend, even though the two of them were only 3 years apart in age. One user who actually watched the gruesome video footage wrote, "Hearing Quavo screaming and crying in that video was heartbreaking. No uncle deserves to see their nephew laying in a pool of blood dead. I hope the videos of his dead body get wiped off the internet, and sending condolences to Takeoff's family and the Migos. Rest easy, Takeoff." Fans of the rapper, friends, admirers, and several industry figures have started to pay tribute online. Chris Eubank Jr. tweeted, "I remember Takeoff being a very down-to-earth, cool dude. Can't believe I'm having to say this again about another young black star being killed for no reason. Something really has to change in the industry." Bernice King, the CEO of the Martin Luther King Center for Nonviolent Social Change and the daughter to the late civil rights leader, also mourned Takeoff's death on Twitter, before calling for societal changes to reduce similar violence in the future. She said, "I mourn that such frivolous violence has ended your life. We have a lot of work to do in transforming the culture of violence into a culture of community awareness and care. But the fact that video footage of Takeoff's last moments has gone viral is truly disturbing. It really shows you that a lot of people don't view celebrities as real human beings, so they don't have any boundaries when it comes to sticking a camera in their face." A similar thing happened with the death of rapper XXXTentacion in 2018, who was robbed and killed at the wheel of his BMW. All of this brings up that age-old question, does having a public career really mean that your life belongs to the public? Do celebrities deserve their privacy, or is being in the public eye an inevitable part of the lifestyle that they signed up for? A lot of people seem to think that losing privacy is a natural cost of fame, but the thing is that being famous doesn't mean you choose to have your privacy revoked. It doesn't mean that you're obligated to have your life publicized, and it doesn't mean that your life is also the lives of thousands of fans. When that happens, the consequences can be disastrous. For instance, Princess Diana was known as the most photographed woman by the press at one point in time. Now, more than 20 years after her deadly car crash in Paris, there's still speculation that it was the paparazzi who were pursuing her that had inadvertently caused the crash. In fact, it was later revealed that some of the photographers continued to take pictures in the tunnel where the accident took place, and later they tried negotiating ridiculously high fees to sell those images. The sad thing is that concept never really went away. In fact, it's even easier for us to do it now because we can just pull out our phones and record whenever we like. On social media, people are constantly getting filmed without their permission, and sometimes those videos go viral. Legally, it's a bit of a grey area, even though it happens on a daily basis. So if anything, it only makes the conversation surrounding the right to privacy that much more urgent. Do you remember all the celebrities that passed away this year? In 2022, we said goodbye to so many renowned artists, public figures, and cultural icons. Even if we didn't personally know them, their passing can often feel so profound because we remember their legacy and, more than anything, how they made us feel. Whether they're household names, music legends, or cultural pioneers, these stars have no doubt had an impact on us in meaningful ways. I'm your host Bridget Shields, and here are the top 10 celebrities who have passed away in 2022. Number 10, Sidney Poitier. The trailblazing actor, director, and activist died at his home on January the 6th at the age of 94 from heart failure. According to his death certificate, it is also listed that he had suffered from Alzheimer's, dementia, and prostate cancer over the years. In 1964, Sidney became the first black actor to win an Oscar for Best Actor for his work on the film Lilies of the Field. Beyond acting, he was an advocate who fought for civil rights, often alongside his close friend of nearly 80 years, Harry Belafonte. They helped organize the March on Washington and plan Martin Luther King Jr.'s memorial after his assassination. In an emotional statement posted to Instagram, one of his daughters, also named Sidney, paid tribute to her late dad, saying, "There are no words for this, no real way to prepare for this, no prose beautiful enough, no speech eloquent enough to capture the essence of my dad." She said that his accomplishments quite literally changed the landscape for everyone who came after him. Number 9, Bob Saget. The legendary comedian and actor was found dead in his Florida hotel room on the 9th of January after he performed a comedy show in the area the night prior. In a statement to EW, the family's lawyer Brian H. Bieber indicated that the police records tell the entire story of the Full House star's unexpected death. He said Bob passed away after a fall and hitting his head in his hotel room, confirming the medical examiner's findings that he had died after suffering head trauma. His wife, Kelly Rizzo, then released a statement on Instagram saying, "Bob truly lived life to the fullest. He had so many hardships over the years that he would always tell me, look, life is hard, we need to enjoy it as much as possible, and one of the best ways we did that together was sharing and exploring amazing food around the world. Experiencing simple pleasures in life like that brought him so much joy. I can't even put into words how much I will miss this." Number 8, Andre Leon Talley. The iconic, larger-than-life former Vogue editor died at the age of 73 on January the 18th. Talley was a man of grand pronouncements, extravagant capes, and friends in design studios from New York to Paris like Marc Jacobs, Tom Ford, Diane von Furstenberg, Karl Lagerfeld, and many more. When the news of his death from a heart attack broke, many of his friends in fashion and beyond took to social media to express their grief. Vogue editor-in-chief Anna Wintour said, "The loss of Andre is felt by so many of us today. The designers he enthusiastically cheered on every season, who loved him for it, the generations he inspired to work in the industry. Seeing a figure who broke boundaries while never forgetting where he started from. Talley was instrumental to Vogue's vision and direction in the 80s and 90s when he worked his way up the magazine ranks to eventually become the news director. He was the first black man to hold that position in the magazine, and subsequently Subsequently, he was known as the only black person in the front row at fashion shows. He was a real trailblazer. Number 7. Meatloaf. The larger-than-life rocker died on January the 20th at 74 years old. His death was confirmed by his manager Michael Green, although the cause and location were not given. Meatloaf took his stage name from a childhood nickname. It actually came from his father, who gave it to him as soon as he was born. Apparently he was a big baby, and when his father saw him wrapped up in a blanket, he pronounced that he looked like a meatloaf. Eventually he became a multi-platinum selling megastar, whose biggest hits like Bat Out of Hell and Paradise by the Dashboard Light were radio staples for decades. In fact, his 1977 album Bat Out of Hell became one of the best-selling albums of all time, which would go on to sell at least 14 million copies in the US. His first major film role came in 1975 in the cult classic The Rocky Horror Picture Show, where he played delivery boy Eddie. In August last year, he had been in the news complaining about pandemic restrictions, telling the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, "If I die, I die, but I'm not going to be controlled." So he certainly made his feelings clear before he tragically passed. Number 6. Ray Liotta. Deadline reported on May the 26th that the Goodfellas star had passed away in his sleep at the age of 67, leaving behind his daughter Garson and his fiancée JC Nitolo. Ray's last post on Instagram has since been flooded with rest in peace messages from fans. The New Jersey native was born in 1954 and adopted at age 6 months out of an orphanage. Interestingly enough, he always assumed that he was Italian, but when he found his birth parents later in life, he discovered that he's actually Scottish. But he did do an impeccable job playing a lot of Italian-American characters throughout his career, with his breakout role being in the 1990 Martin Scorsese crime classic Goodfellas. Ray's acting career also had a big resurgence in recent years, with films like The Many Saints of Newark, Marriage Story, and No Sudden Move. He even won a Primetime Emmy in 2005 for his guest stint on ER, and was a two-time SAG Award nominee for the 2015 miniseries Texas Rising, so he leaves behind an incredible legacy. Number 5. Ivana Trump. The Czech-American ex-wife of former President Donald Trump died on July the 14th at the age of 73. Paramedics were called to her Upper East Side home over a report of cardiac arrest, but her official cause of death has not yet been confirmed. Ivana married the former US president in 1977, and they then went on to have 3 children together, their daughter Ivanka and sons Eric and Don Jr. Although the couple divorced in 1992, Ivana kept her ex-husband's surname. Trump took to social media to pay tribute to her passing and wrote, "I am very saddened to inform all of those that loved her, of which there are many, that Ivana Trump has passed away at her home in New York City. She was a wonderful, beautiful, and amazing woman who led a great and inspirational life." Eric Trump wrote on Instagram that his mother was a force in business, a world-class athlete, a radiant beauty, and a caring mother and friend. Number 4. Anne Heche. The actress who rose to prominence on the soap opera Another World has passed away at 53 after being involved in a fiery single car crash in LA on August the 5th. According to a coroner's report, Anne died from smoke inhalation and burns. She was in a coma for a week before being taken off life support on August the 14th. News of her car accident and subsequent death really shook Hollywood to its core, as Anne was much beloved in the industry, and her peers came forward recalling her contributions to cinema and the LGBTQ+ community. Director Nathan Scoggins, who worked with her in one of her last films, said, "Anne held nothing back, in life or in performance. She was fearless, going too far in some takes just to make sure that she went far enough. But you can't love without trust, and she loved with her whole heart." Anne had famously dated Ellen DeGeneres, who also expressed her sadness at her ex-girlfriend's passing. She tweeted, "This is a sad day. I'm sending Anne's children, family, and friends all of my love." Number 3. Olivia Newton-John. The Grease star died on the 8th of August after a 30-year battle with breast cancer. The English-Australian singer's death at 73 years old was confirmed by her husband John Easterling. Olivia Newton-John was best known for her portrayal of Sandy in the iconic 1978 musical Grease, alongside John Travolta. Her breathy voice and wholesome beauty made her one of the biggest pop stars in the 70s. She was an incredibly talented singer first and foremost, and sold more than 100 million records over the course of her career, with hits like I Honestly Love You, Hopelessly Devoted to You, and Physical. But behind the curtain of her star-studded life, her health started to deteriorate rapidly. In 2018, Olivia revealed that she was treating cancer at the base of her spine. It was her 3rd cancer diagnosis, following bouts of breast cancer in the early 90s and in 2017. She eventually became a fierce advocate in the fight against the disease and founded the Olivia Newton-John Cancer and Wellness Centre in Melbourne. Number 2. Queen Elizabeth II. The monarch of the United Kingdom and 15 other Commonwealth realms died on September the 8th at the age of 96. Her coronation took place on June 2nd, 1953 1993 at Westminster Abbey, and for the first time ever was televised, allowing people around the world to witness the event. The Queen's 70-year reign was mostly peaceful, despite vast changes across her country over the decades. Queen Elizabeth surpassed her great-great-grandmother Queen Victoria to become the longest-living British monarch on December the 21st of 2007, and she has been portrayed many times in pop culture. Buckingham Palace released a statement confirming her passing, saying, "The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The news was shocking to the world, as Elizabeth has been around for almost everybody's lifetime and was revered around the world, even outlasting 12 US presidents. She was a tremendously popular and influential figure in her lifetime and stood for stability and order of the crown." Her youngest, formerly known as Prince Charles, has now stepped up and taken the throne as Britain's new reigning monarch. And coming in at number 1, PnB Rock. The rapper and singer was tragically murdered on the 12th of September while dining at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in LA. He was with his girlfriend at the time. LAPD Captain Kelly Muniz told the Times later that day that the intruder shot the victim and ran out the side door to a getaway car and then fled the parking lot. The attacker first demanded jewelry and other valuables before getting into a struggle with the rapper and opening fire. Rock, whose real name was Rakeem Allen, was rushed to the hospital where he died just before 2 p.m. While the attack might have been planned, many people believe it occurred as a result of the rapper being tagged online, as his exact location was shared on the internet via Instagram by his girlfriend minutes before he was attacked. Born on the 9th of December in 1991, Rock was inspired to make music at the age of 19 after hearing Drake's iconic album Take Care. His ability to blend melodies with his rapping made his future in hip-hop extremely promising, and it wasn't long before he captured the world's attention with his musical talent. It was a senseless tragedy and is still under investigation. Okay, so now we need to get into some of the most tragic news of the week. Moonbin, a member of the K-pop group Astro, was found dead at his home in Seoul yesterday evening. He was 25 years old. He was found by his manager at around 8 p.m. in his apartment in the upscale Gangnam neighborhood of Seoul. His untimely passing was confirmed by his group's label in a statement that they posted to social media. Fantasio's official Twitter page wrote, "On April 19th, Astro member Moonbin suddenly left us and became a star in the sky." They said that they were deeply mourning him in such great sadness and shock. They also asked everyone to refrain from making speculative and malicious reports so that his family can pay their respects in privacy. This announcement has prompted thousands of comments from grieving fans, many of them expressing disbelief at how such a tragedy could have occurred. One fan tweeted, "I can't even process this information. This is the worst news. My heart goes out to his family and friends and everyone that loved him so much. Absolutely heartbreaking." Another person wrote, "I didn't know him, but this absolutely breaks my heart. He was only 25. He had his entire life ahead of him. Praying for his soul, all my condolences for his family, friends, and fans. I cannot imagine the pain you all have to go through. Please be kind to each other." Several pictures online have showed fans laying flowers and notes at street memorials in South Korea and across other places in the world, like the US, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Some fans have also strung up purple and silver balloons, which are colors that were featured prominently at Moonbin's last performance in Thailand. The Seoul Gangnam police station has since released their own statement about the incident. They said, "It appears that Moonbin took his own life, but they are waiting for autopsy to determine the exact cause of death." Now, this news has once again opened up discussions surrounding toxic practices in the K-pop industry, the ones that have devastating consequences on idols' lives. Most people know that they're usually picked up by agencies at a very young age, in their early or mid-teens, and from that point on, they live a life under tight control. Their days are taken over by grueling singing and dance training. The trainees are also subjected to things like intensive diet plans to try and meet unrealistic beauty standards, and the list goes on and on. Some of them have even reported surviving on only water and fainting due to exhaustion. Then when a trainee finally debuts and makes it as an idol, the pressure from their label only increases. As you can imagine, this has a disastrous impact on their mental health. Moonbin entered Fantasio's training program as a child. He had his acting debut in 2009 in the popular K-pop drama Boys Over Flowers. Then in 2016, at the age of 18, he joined Astro. The group originally had 6 performers and they went on to release 3 albums, before one of the members of the group left in March this year. Moonbin was known as an all-round performer and he was Astro's most celebrated dancer. While his international fame was not exactly on the level of BTS or Blackpink, he was wildly popular in South Korea. In the hours since news of his death was announced, fans have already pointed to something that happened during a recent concert, which was deeply troubling. While Moonbin was on the Diffusion tour with Sanha to promote their latest EP, he did a live broadcast over social media and told fans that he has been going through a difficult time. He said, "I want to confess one thing. I'm actually feeling really bad. There might have been a lot of signs from which people could notice since the concert started, so I'm also very sorry to you guys. I chose this job, so I need to be happy, so that I can make fans happy as well." Of course, there is still so much we don't know about how or why this tragedy happened, so right now we just have to wait for the final report to come out before we can find out any more details.
Naya Rivera's body has been recovered after an extensive search following her disappearance at Lake Peru on July 8th. The news was confirmed by the Ventura County Sheriff's Department, who held the press conference on July 13th. Hey guys, Jared Bronstein here today on InformOverload, and we have an update on the Naya Rivera situation, but unfortunately the worst appears to be true. For those of you who don't know, Rivera and her 4-year-old son rented a boat on July 8th, taking it out on Lake Peru around 1 p.m. local time. Around 4 p.m. local time, an employee at the boat rental shop, where Rivera and her son were last seen together, saw a boat floating in the water. Upon approaching, the employee found Rivera's son sleeping alone in the boat. The authorities would be notified immediately. After the child told officials that he was swimming with his mother and he got back in the boat but she did not, a search team was deployed. On July 9th, it would be confirmed by the Ventura County Sheriff's Twitter account that Naya Rivera, 33 of Los Angeles, was missing and a search and rescue operation would be underway. After a day and no sign of Rivera, the mission was changed to a search and recovery, with authorities presuming she had passed away. Over the last few days, the Ventura County Sheriff's Twitter account has been updating those following the case with tweets and videos of the actual mission. On July 13th at 9:38 a.m. local time, the Sheriff's Department tweeted out, "Happening now, a body has been found at Lake Peru this morning." 11 minutes later, they followed up with, "A body has been found at Lake Peru this morning. The recovery is in progress. There will be a news conference at 2 p.m. at the lake." The news conference confirmed it was Naya who was recovered, and they don't believe there was any foul play involved. It was just an unfortunate accident. There will be an autopsy taking place to confirm this. However, as of now, they do believe she drowned. They'll also be using her teeth to 100% identify that it is in fact Naya, although they are almost confident. As per Sheriff Bill Ayub's conversation with Rivera's son, the two went swimming, she helped boost her son on the boat, and when he turned around she was gone. It's believed there were very strong currents and Rivera's boat was not anchored in the water. According to reports where Rivera's body was recovered, the water was also about 30 to 60 feet deep. The sheriff said, "There are a lot of currents on the lake that appear particularly in the afternoon. We believe it was mid-afternoon when she disappeared. The idea perhaps being that the boat started drifting, it was unanchored, and that she mustered enough energy to get her son back into the boat, but not enough to save herself." Following the devastating news, several former cast members took to social media to show their love and speak about how much of an angel Rivera really was. A handful of former Glee cast members also met at Lake Peru, holding hands together, looking out on the water. This date also marked 7 years to the exact day that another former Glee cast member, Corey Monteith, passed away as well. As always, should any other news come to light, we'll be sure to keep you guys up to date. I've been your host, Jared Bronstein, sending my best wishes and condolences to all those affected by this loss.